We have a major New York Jets head coaching update as an Aaron Glann hiring could be imminent, with the New York Jets having another meeting with Glann, plus other people from the Detroit Lions staff if the Jets want to bring multiple people over who have connections to Glann. But that depends on the guys running the show, and we're going to break this all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris here, and if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps me out a ton. 20% of people watching this are subscribed right now. Let's try to get those numbers up. I know we could do it. However, let's jump in and talk about football. That's what we're all here for. And look, the New York Jets, well, they're interviewing a new candidate. They also got a second interview with Aaron Glann. And there is a lot going on for Woody and Brick Johnson. I wish this wasn't the case, but for Woody and Brick Johnson to decide who they want to hire to be the next New York Jets head coach. Now, we're going to jump right into things because it's important to talk about this, as Aaron Glann could sign with the Jets any minute after this interview happens, as according to Ian Rappaport, Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glann, one of the top coaching candidates, is set for an in-person second interview with the New York Jets. Glenn will have options, and electing to do his first visit to the team that drafted him, where he was an All-Pro, is significant. It's very significant to see that this is what Aaron Glann is doing. Aaron Glann has made it very clear that the Jets are his number one option, and I do expect Aaron Glann to be the next head coach of the Jets. I'm pretty sure most Jets fans do at this point. It's pretty clear that Aaron Glann wants to be the next head coach of the Jets. It came out, according to sources, that he would take the Jets job over any other job that he gets offered, and it's hard to imagine Aaron Glann doesn't get an offer. Right after the Lions lose, despite the fact that the defense not the defense, but the Lions themselves gave up 45 points, there started to be a bit of a question around if Aaron Glenn's the guy by some fans. He absolutely is. Don't take that into consideration. Matt talked about that extensively, how he mentioned there was 5 turnovers. One of them was a pick 6. Can't put that on Aaron Glann at all. Also, Aaron Glann lost half of his starting defense, and the man still had a team that was 7th in points allowed in the regular season, which is very significant for a New York Jets team that has a very good defense itself, or a lot of good defensive personnel, I really should say. And that could always grow, even though they will be losing DJ Reed in free agency, who's been very open and honest about his leaving the New York Jets and how he's thrilled for that. Look, Aaron Glann should be the New York Jets head coaching hire, and I fully expect him to be the Jets head coaching hire. Glenn is in perfect position to take over the New York Jets as a first-time head coach and get a chance with the team that originally took a chance on him and also employed him in 2013 and 2014 to really come into the Jets, instill that energy, instill the culture the New York Jets need to take this team out of the gutter. And look, as mentioned here, Dan Campbell said today that he's expecting Ben Johnson and Aaron Glann to take head coaching positions in the coming days. So Campbell thinks it'll be soon for both guys, or he thought it would be soon for both guys. And Ben Johnson got hired by the Chicago Bears 3 hours after Dan Campbell said it. So when the New York Jets meet with Aaron Glann in person, I think it's pretty widely expected for most of us, and I'll say this right now, I fully expect the New York Jets to offer him the job, and I expect Glenn to accept pretty much on the spot, considering he's made it clear the Jets are his number one option. Now, maybe that's not true. Maybe he still does want to talk to the Saints some more, and if he does, that's fine. Maybe he'll want to talk to the Dallas Cowboys as well, but it does feel like with Ben Johnson taking that job with the Bears, Aaron Glann is next to take the job, and I expect Aaron Glann to be the Jets head coach in the next coming days. Now, as Rich Cimini mentioned, the Jets' strategy is starting to emerge as they dig deeper in the potential Lance Newmark, that is, tandem. Now, real quick, because we will take a look at that in a second. I hit the wrong button. We're going to ignore that. Aaron Glann is also expected to visit the Saints. He's considered to be a key candidate there as well, but it feels like the Jets have this on lock, especially if they do get Lance Newmark as well, because as Adam Schefter mentioned, the Jets are scheduled to interview former Lions executive and current Commanders assistant GM Lance Newmark on Tuesday for their general manager job. This will be Newmark's second GM interview with the New York Jets. He spent 26 seasons in Detroit before joining Washington last season and is said to have a strong relationship with both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glann. So Lance Newmark would become the second domino to fall for the New York Jets, as it feels like, look, Glenn's going to meet with the Jets around the same time that Newmark is. The Jets very likely could hire Newmark as well. The man, assistant GM for 26 years with the Lions, which in some sense is a good sign of like, okay, well, he oversaw the turnaround pretty much, but at the same time, the Lions were pretty bad over the last 26 years, so it is just worth noting that. However, it is an interesting thing to sign someone who has a good rapport with Aaron Glenn. And yeah, Newmark, maybe he gets hired as the GM. But something else to consider is another guy connected to the Lions. I think you guys know who I'm talking about here, in Chris Spielman. Chris Spielman is the vice president of football operations for the Detroit Lions. He could very well take a president of football operations role with the New York Jets, while Newmark takes the GM role and Glenn takes the head coaching role, and the Jets go right to the Lions' tree of recent success to try to pull the Jets back into relevance the way that they did with the Detroit Lions. The 33rd team is on this, and Chris Spielman, obviously, we have to mention it. His brother Rick is one of the two heads of the 33rd team, the other one being Mike Tannenbaum, as we know well, is the former Jets GM. But it feels like to be a family business thing going on here with the New York Jets, and it would not be surprising to see that whatsoever. So I do think what we could see is this actually happen. And the video's not ending. I know I usually do this at the end, but comment down below on your thoughts. Do you guys think that it's possible the Jets do get the Newmark, Spielman, Glenn tandem? I think Aaron Glenn is going to pretty much be guaranteed that Jets job. I will say this. If Aaron Glenn is not the next head coach of the Jets, I will be absolutely stunned. I would guess that it's a minus 350 chance for Aaron Glenn to be the next head coach of the Jets. I think it is obvious that he's going to coach the Jets. I think he wants to coach the Jets. I think he has a I think he'd be very excited about the Jets defense as well. I mean, Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald, two young edge rushers that could be huge for the Jets in the future. Will McDonald had a breakout season. Jermaine Johnson missed the whole year with a torn Achilles, or basically the whole year. He played 6 halves. 6 halves? No, he played 3 halves. Sorry. He played 6 quarters. And Jermaine Johnson coming back will be huge, obviously, to protect the run, as well as that, just go out there, be a great edge rusher. You got Quinnen Williams. Your trenches are pretty solid. You could use another run stopper up the middle, though, and the Jets could obviously highlight that with a potential Mason Graham drafting in a video we talked about. If you guys want to go find that, it's on our channel. Mason Graham's in the thumbnail. You'll be able to find that. As well as the secondary, you got Sauce Gardner, your best defender on the team in reality. Jamie Sherwood, who was just voted MVP of the New York Jets this season as the future middle linebacker, with C.J. Mosley hopefully leaving, in the sense that I want to see C.J. Mosley succeed. I don't want to see him go through a rebuild with the Jets, man. I want to see C.J. Mosley go somewhere and try to win football. He's 35, not too much time left. You gotta love C.J. Mosley as a Jets fan. He really did everything he could, but let Jamie Sherwood take over, become the next C.J. Mosley, a guy who he learned under for a while, and move in the next direction, while also the Jets are likely to bring back Quinnen Williams as well. They have a great core on this defense, and Aaron Glenn would probably be really excited to get his hands on them, while also you got some young talent on the offensive end as well, with Garrett Wilson, with Breece Hall, with Braylon Allen. You have talent to work with. Jordan Travis could end up being the Jets starting quarterback at some point next season as well. The Jets have a young core. It's actually a pretty exciting young core. They just need a quarterback. Also, the offensive line has a nice young core as well, between AVT, who's, when he's healthy, is great. Joe Tippmann, who's been an Iron Man for the Jets last season, an awesome center for them. You have Olu Fashanu. You could very likely draft a right tackle, and I would not be shocked if the Jets did draft a right tackle, 7th overall. Everything feels like it should be falling into place for, if the New York Jets can get this all to work out, they could be in a really, really good position to go through a rebuild with a lot of this young talent. It's a matter of ensuring that you don't lose Garrett Wilson. If he asks for a trade, the Jets will accept it. And then, yeah, you might be able to trade for something, draft Luther Burden to protect yourselves a little bit and find a new, hopefully, franchise receiver, but it's not going to be as good as Garrett. So hopefully Garrett Wilson is willing to stick around, and I think whoever becomes the GM and the head coach will have a huge impact on that, as it will also have an impact on Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, who as of today obviously still are on the New York Jets. Big question if they're going to come back. I think it's more likely than most people do, but I don't know if Aaron Glenn would mean Rodgers and Davante come back. I think you see a veteran coach come in. Maybe it's a little bit different, but we're yet to see. It depends on what Rodgers wants to do. The cards are in Rodgers' hands, and he said he wants to talk to the head coach in the front office when that's been figured out, and he'll devise a plan with them on what they want to do, and they'll work together. And obviously, you know, Rodgers and Davante are a package deal. Wherever Rodgers goes, Davante will likely go as well. And if Rodgers stays, Davante obviously will stay as well also. So it is important to think about this. I am curious to see what happens, but I think we're going to see Aaron Glenn get hired by the New York Jets this week. I think it happens this week. I think we're going to hear the official news that Aaron Glenn is hired by the New York Jets. The problem is the wild cards of Woody Johnson being an absolutely insane person, and, well, Brick Johnson's a teenager. And, I mean, have you guys ever met a smart teenager? Because I know I have, and I was a teenager a few years ago, and I'm still dumb, so imagine me back then. Like, it must have been insane. But I do think the Jets front office, they're being led by the 33rd team, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens when a GM and a coach comes in, knowing there's a world where they could have a hand tied behind their back by the two Johnsons. So it will be interesting to see what happens here. Also, why is it Woody and Brick Johnson? Could you make it more, you know what I'm trying to say here. Woody and Brick Johnson? Really? Really? I had to say that because it's like, you gotta be kidding me with that, bro. We all know what is going on there, man. What the hell, dude? But in all seriousness, I do think having these guys kind of be led by the 33rd team. And the fact is, I understand Woody Johnson's a complete buffoon and that Brick Johnson's understandably 17 and making mistakes. Here's the thing. You know they do want the Jets to succeed. You know they do want the Jets to win. They're just not good at their jobs. But getting the 33rd team in here, a team that turned around the Commanders very quickly, and also when speaking on trying to get a guy from the Commanders, it all makes sense that the Jets feel like they're doing things right now. And I think one of the key things for the New York Jets to do right is get this Glenn Newmark tandem. I think it's a good idea because the 33rd team is hiring people who they know have now good track records of success. It just makes sense to me, and it feels like the Jets are taking something in a step in the right direction. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking this, but I do fully believe the New York Jets are doing this right. The first step is to hire Aaron Glenn. I wanted a GM first, but if it's Aaron Glenn being hired as the head coach, I'm fine with that because that's been my pick for a while now. He's who I've wanted as the Jets head coach. I think he's going to be it. Guys, an Aaron Glenn hiring, I will tell you right now, is imminent. He will be the next head coach of the New York Jets. What do you guys think down below? Let me know. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Jets!